Hello everyone, welcome back to Jikook Diaries channel. Airports are always a place full of stories, especially when Jungkook is the one passing through. Every step, every small smile, even every second he turns in a certain direction always creates a huge wave online. But this time, the atmosphere felt different. There was something unusual. There was a moment that made everyone pause, hold their breath, and then ask themselves, wait, is Jungkook on a date at the airport? It actually seemed like any other day. Crowds of fans had been waiting since morning, cameras in hand, eyes full of anticipation. They didn't want to miss a single second of their idol's appearance. When Jungkook finally appeared, the atmosphere immediately changed. Soft screams mixed with admiration rang out, not overly hysterical, but rather like expressions of genuine love and respect. He walked with a relaxed gait, dressed in casual clothes that looked simple yet still radiated a star's aura. His hat covered part of his face, his mask obscured his smile, but those eyes, Jungkook's eyes always spoke louder than words. What made the atmosphere strange was the way he walked. Usually, Jungkook walked quickly, focused, and directly toward his destination. But this time he seemed slower, more careful, as if adjusting his steps to someone nearby. Some people began to notice. There was a figure walking not far from him. It wasn't the usual staff member, nor was it a bodyguard with a stern posture, but someone who seemed more relaxed, more personal. Their distance wasn't too close, but not too far either. Close enough to raise questions. Cameras began to pan. Short clips of the video immediately went viral. Within minutes, the internet seemed to pause to process what they had just seen. Some said it was just a coincidence. Others said it was part of a group. But others sensed something different. The way Jungkook turned slightly, the way he slowed his pace, the way his shoulders turned slightly toward the figure, as if there was a full awareness that they were walking together. In the world of K-pop, something as small as this can become a major topic of discussion. Jungkook isn't just an idol. He's a symbol, a dream, and a feeling for millions. When suspicions arose that he might be dating, especially in a public place like the airport, it immediately transformed the atmosphere into a mix of shock, curiosity, and a little bit of natural jealousy. Interestingly, however, the majority reaction wasn't anger, but rather confusion tinged with curiosity. The next video clip showed a moment that further fueled speculation. Jungkook appeared to smile slightly behind his mask. It was a small, barely noticeable smile, but enough to make many say, that's a different smile. It wasn't a professional smile for the camera, but rather a natural, light smile, like someone feeling comfortable. Was it because of the airport atmosphere, or because of someone nearby? Netizens began analyzing every detail. Hand gestures, eye direction, stride length, even the way Jungkook tilted his head as he walked. All became evidence of their own version. Some said he looked protective, others said he looked gentler than usual. But of course, there were also those who tried to calm the situation, reminding everyone that airports are workplaces for idols, and what was seen could be nothing more than a casual interaction. What made this moment even more interesting were the expressions of the fans on the scene. Some seemed surprised, not out of anger, but because they hadn't expected to see a side of Jungkook that felt so human. There was an aura of normal life that was rarely seen. A Jungkook who wasn't just an idol on stage, but someone who could casually walk around, perhaps sharing a small moment with someone nearby, without always having to be in superstar mode. Within hours, headlines were popping up. Is Jungkook dating? Who was the mysterious figure at the airport? Jungkook's moment that left everyone confused. The word surprising felt so apartment. Not because there was concrete evidence of a romantic relationship, but because the moment opened the floodgates of imagination. It made people pause and realize that behind the superstar image, there was a regular human being who could also have a private life, feelings, and quiet moments that he wanted to protect. Many fans ultimately chose a more mature approach. They said that if Jungkook was indeed dating someone, that was his right. That an idol's happiness was far more important than speculation. But at the same time, curiosity remained. It wasn't a desire for possession, but rather a desire to know a natural you. Because Jungkook has always been known to be very private, this small moment felt like a small window into his rarely seen world. Interestingly, there were no overly explicit gestures. No hand-holding, no obvious romantic interaction. Everything was very subtle. It was precisely because of this subtlety that this moment became so big. If it were too obvious, reactions might have been different. But because it was just a small snippet of behavior that could be interpreted in various ways, people were free to construct their own narratives. That's both its beauty and complexity. Some fans even called this moment a real-life plot twist. They were used to seeing Jungkook on stage, full of energy, charisma, and power. But at the airport, he looked calm, humble, and warm. There was a distinct sense of maturity. It was as if Jungkook was entering a more mature phase of his life, more comfortable with himself, and perhaps more open to his little world outside the spotlight. The discussion continued. Some theorized that the figure was an old friend. Others suggested it was part of the creative team. Still others hoped that Jungkook had finally found someone who made him smile like that. All the theories coexist, with no one truly being able to determine which is correct. But one thing is certain. This moment left a lasting impression, not because of the controversy, but because of the warmth it conveyed. The world of K-pop is often full of pressure, packed schedules, and high expectations. Seeing Jungkook in such a seemingly relaxed and human situation brought a sense of calm to many. It was as if they were reminded that the idols they admired had the right to live their lives on their own terms. The confusion that arose wasn't negative. It was a confusion filled with curiosity, hope, and a hint of a smile. Is it a date? Might not have been the most important question. More importantly, does Jungkook look happy? And from those small details, many felt the answer was yes. The airport, usually just a transit point, suddenly transformed into a small, real-life stage. No script, no concept, no rehearsal. Just a brief moment, a few footsteps, and a faint smile that managed to shake up the online world. That's Jungkook's power. Even in simplicity, he was still able to create a story that left everyone speechless and thinking. We may never know what really happened that day. Maybe it was just a coincidence. Maybe it was a private moment accidentally caught on camera. But it's precisely that uncertainty that makes it feel so magical. Because amidst all the speculation, one thing remains clear. Jungkook wasn't just an idol shining on stage, but also a human being capable of making the world pause for a moment simply by the way he walked and smiled. And to this day, that moment remains remembered as one of the most confusing and yet most heartwarming. A moment that leaves everyone wondering, smiling a little, and perhaps secretly wishing that Jungkook would always be surrounded by happiness, no matter who was by his side. So, was it really a date or just a chance moment caught on camera? We may never know for sure, but one thing is clear. That moment at the airport successfully showcased a very human, warm, and serene side of Jungkook. Not just as a world-renowned idol, but as someone who also deserves comfort, happiness, and personal space in his life. What do you think really happened in that moment? Was it just a misunderstanding? Or is there a sweet story hidden behind it? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, as we'd love to hear all your theories and feelings. Don't forget to like this video if you found this moment touching and intriguing, subscribe to stay updated on Jungkook and BTS, and share it with your fellow ARMYs so we can discuss it together. Thank you for watching until the end. Keep supporting Jungkook with love and respect, and see you in the next video.